So this last part is called What I've Learned, and now so we're at the end of the book. Now that I am cancer-free, I have the world wide open to me. I'm like that Dr. Seuss fellow in The Places You'll Go. It's opener there in the wide open air. It's a world that dazzles and terrifies, shimmering with possibilities. And what will I do with my time? How will I be of use? Well, when I'm feeling earnest, I think of going back to school and going into social work. I'd like to help counsel people with health problems. I'd like to help women with breast cancer. But what I'd really like to do, I'd like to go out to lunch. Honestly, sometimes I think one of the most sacred, generous acts we can do is invite friends over for dinner. Or perhaps to champagne brunch. It's what Jesus talked about, breaking bread. When I think about what restored me and what helped me through the cancer and its anxious aftermath, it's such a simple thing, but what helped me the most was sharing a meal with friends. And there's a quote that I love that I wanted to read to you. And it's by Anonymous, so I can't give them credit. There are things you do because they feel right, and they may make no sense, and they may make no money, but they may be the real reason why we're here. To love each other, and to eat each other's cooking, and say it was good. Now, as all of you know by now, I can't cook. So the way I show love is to go out for dinner, my treat. So the other night, some friends and I went to a seafood restaurant, and it was something called like the Crab and Claw. And it was a nice restaurant, and I ordered some kind of chicken thing with raisin sauce. But I don't really remember what I ate, and I remember how buoyed up I felt by all the people there who were helping me, and there were 8 of us at the dinner table. And all 8 of us knew that I had written a book about breast cancer, and that I'd had a double mastectomy, and that I'd had a little trouble with the implants. And during the evening's festivities, I brought with me a box of chocolates, and I brought a big box because I wanted a big incentive. And what we were doing, we were having a title contest for the title of this book, and I wanted to share with you some of the great entries. This will sting a little. My anatomy lesson. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Milkmaid no more. And where's Sasha? He's not here right now, but his mom came up with this one. And wait for it, post-tits. Busted, keeping abreast, no nose is good nose, and this from Ralph, my headlights are dark. And for the last one, this is Kate, my daughter. She will go to the mat for this. This is her absolute favorite. She thinks I should call my book this. Wait for it, Boobless in Baltimore. Well, to my mind, each of these titles was disastrous, each in its own special way. And we had a good laugh about some of them, even though the waiters thought we had maybe a little too much to drink. But the thing is, even though we never arrived in even the vicinity of a good title, we were engaged. We were all, in our haphazard way, sitting around that table, family. In my life, as it unfolds, maybe I should aim to do very deliberately what we did so naturally on this night, to be present. Mother Teresa said, "We can't do great things. We can only do little things with great love." And I think for most of us, this is true. We might not be able to rock the world, but we can help each other in small daily ways. We can talk and listen to each other. We can reach across the chasm that separates us, each in our mortal, fragile shell, and take hold of somebody else's hand. There are different ways to take hold of somebody else's hand, and that night, at that table, I felt my husband and my friends took hold of mine. And here's our last part. If there's a place for eating and for being together, there is also a place for doing the spontaneous, or something you wouldn't ordinarily do. And during my time in Florida this past winter, this for me meant kayaking. We paddled onto Sarasota Bay, where great blue herons and snowy egrets nestled among the mangroves, their necks tucked inside their feathers, resting. The more ambitious and hungry birds stood in the shallows and poked along on their toothpick legs, or stood frozen in place, locked on a target, intent on spearing a fish. The tide was out, and from our kayaks we noticed the barnacles clodding the mangrove trees. There was so much beauty all around. My heart ached. The ripples in the water were like liquid nets of gold, and the fish, they're called mullets, went leaping through the air, their bodies silvering in the sunlight, before they plunked back down under the water into the dark, mysterious other. I stopped paddling. I sat there quietly in my kayak, and in the kayak I spotted a brown pelican. The pelican flapped by overhead. I tracked its shadow along the mangroves, and I thought, when you fly in the sun, a shadow falls. Isn't that life? There's darkness and there's light. I watched the pelican swoop overhead, leaving its shadow, and I thought of my daughter, Julia. Julia, I think, has always understood darkness and light. She understands that darkness is part of light, that it defines the light. Is it because Julia was born without eardrums and she had to earn her hearing through surgeries? Because Julia wasn't born perfect, she doesn't expect perfection. Unlike me. Unlike me, or at least the old me, Julia doesn't view the world in terms of a report card. Even when she gets a report card, she knows how to interpret the good and the bad and feel delight in the big picture. So there I sat in that kayak, and the sun warmed me like a benediction, warmed me, my arms, my face. And I thought of last spring when Julia went online to learn her grades from St. Mary's College of Maryland. She got 2 A's, a B+, and a C. She was ecstatic. She flew out the door, vaulted in her car, and zoomed off to tell her boyfriend, Mike. Well, if I'd been Julia, you know what I would have done. I would have been upstairs in that computer room, staring at my grades, lamenting that C. Don't be like the old me. Don't try for the A. Or try for the A, but if you get a C, who cares? Hold on to the big picture. Be like the pelican, flying in sunlight, content to cast a shadow. Be like the pelican. Be like Julia. Run out into the sunshine. Run out and throw your arms around somebody you love.